What is up, my viewers? Time again for another World of Tanks gameplay commentary. This time it is another replay submission from Minnow ZV. I'm the person I always refer to as Minnow ever since his first submissions way back when. Another long-time submitter. Standard battle on Pearl River. Yes, that is the name of the map. Teams looking fairly even. That Gazla Ram LTTB on the enemy team certainly having a high rating. The most highly skilled rated player in this match, but unfortunately not in a very pound for pound, very effective vehicle. I mean, pound for pound, yeah, effective, but not gonna really be super heavy hitting, I guess is what I mean when I said that. Still, Tier 10's looking fairly even per team, definitely even, and the number of Tier 9s slightly favoring, and I'm maybe a little bit of an exaggeration there. Minnow's team definitely have a Tier 9 advantage, but the enemy team having a very effective Tier 8, that ISU 152. And each team has one scout. Nope, I take it back. Minnow's team has 2 scouts, whereas the enemy team has the 1. So, as far as this match goes, it's important to note no artillery, so can be a little bit aggressive. Minnow deciding to go up and around this way, a little bit of a roundabout way to get up on this central hill on the map. But medium tanks you usually see either taking one of these roundabout ways. The heavy tanks actually are commonly seen going to the center hill, but you all also oftentimes see the medium tanks going around that southern bend there, through the 1-2 line and the JK line as well. So I'm not really sure what the correct course of action here is. He's just looking to get to flank. Maybe going to get some good shots on this E50M. Maybe if he had aimed in. Right now he has this sort of brush in his way. So he's, there we go, aiming in to make sure he's actually shooting what he wants to shoot. Definitely getting some free shots off on that 50M. Maybe not so free though, now that he got just double tapped by that T57 and that T110E5. So at the moment he's taken 1131 hit points of damage, dished out 1163. So kind of a fair trade, but in World of Tanks you don't want to operate off of fair trades. You always want to be dishing out more damage than you're taking. Of course, someone's got to be the taker and not the giver. So in this case, Minnow, unfortunately, being the one on the receiving end. This T-54 firing APCR, very common for T-54s. Minnow almost reloaded here, but will it be soon enough? Trying to use his T-49 ally as cover. And I don't know how his T-49 ally is taking that, but he certainly has more hit points. They both have paper armor, and honestly, the T-49 should be grateful and actually volunteering himself to take the shots for Minnow, because let's face it, Bat Chat is far more valuable than a T-49 in this situation. And the T-54 here getting caught a little bit off guard, and certainly nothing but dead weight at this point in the match. He just fired a shot, so Minnow's gonna get the final kill shot right here, keeping him tracked by shooting him in that back cogwheel. Always a good idea if you can do it. And the enemy team looking like they're pretty even right now. Slightly hit point lead, that's something to always take into account, is which team has more hit points, which team has the ability to soak up more shots. And wow, even just solidifying that lead even more, even though Minnow's team has a tank advantage, significant loss in hit points there in that very short period of time. So very possible for the enemy team to just start making up that ground. And another thing worth noting, sure, there's no artillery, but tank destroyers, they're kind of direct fire arty, and with tank destroyers as large as Jagdzilla's, the Jagdpanzer E100s, you've got to be careful. And in this case right here, it looks like he wants to get up and take a few shots on the backside of this T110E3. He's in a very bad position right now. He is surrounded on so many sides by tank destroyers, and he really has no clean route of escape. This 4502B, not quite sure what to do, but he should be doing something to try and help take out this Jagdpanzer E100, this Jagdzilla. The Jagdzilla continuing to try and rush up the hill. Minnow about to drive out in front of him, thinking he might have been able to get around, but at the same time decided to not take the risk. The Jagdpanzer E100 looking like he took the shot, tracked that 4502B. I don't know if he did any damage to him. Yes, he certainly did in that E3 doing the final kill. Together, the 4502B and Minnow managing to take out the Jagdzilla, be the monster slayers here, but the T110E3 and the other Jagdzilla still very much alive. Minnow's team quickly losing their advantage here, 4-7, so they don't even have a tank advantage anymore. Hit points nearly, actually somewhat close now. The hit point gap has closed up. It's only about 1,000, and so still a lot of hit points to try and make up the loss in tank difference, but it's got to be very cautiously played at this point. Looks like a 183 and a Waffenträger E100 very close to home base and able to take care of any mediums or light tanks that are wanting to capture that. So nothing very threatening on that southern bend, just a lot of tier 8s and, scout tanks. So nothing they can't handle. Right now, his team needs to regroup and stick together. That T-49, that T-54, not a T-49. I am so many levels wrong on that. But the T-44 killing the T-54. The E-100 trying to fight an IS-3. That T-57 Heavy having disappeared definitely would have been spotted. Minnow having to take very quick notice of that Yogzilla, who fired when he clearly did not have a shot. I might just attribute that one to lag for that Yogzilla player. And Minnow right now trying to get a shot on the underplate of the Yogzilla. He just needs one shot to pen, and he can get the kill of the monster, be the Monster Slayer, yet again losing almost all of his hit points on a ram. 355 hit points gone, surviving with only 91, although it's not too much of any consequence considering he was nearly a one-shot for anyone on the enemy team anyway. He barely had enough hit points to survive one shot, if that. The E-100 managing to take out that T-57 Heavy, so another enemy tank, a very large threat, eliminated. This T-110E3 coming up on the backside of an E-100. Minnow still reloading, probably got another 10 to 20 seconds or so before he's loaded, and he doesn't want to give away his position. He doesn't want to show his hand to this E3. Not that it matters much, because the E-100 more than capable of apparently taking him out. I assume he's firing heat rounds, because let's face it, if you're using the 15 centimeter in an E-100, it's par for the course that you use the heat rounds. I mean, normally you're going to have 235 pen on an AP shell, and in tier 10 a lot of times that just doesn't cut it, so you're going to fire those heat rounds with the 300 some odd penetration of heat. Now, heat does not deal well with spaced armor. That's very important to note. And it also does not normalize at all. It has no shell normalization, but one benefit it does have, other than high pen, is the fact that it does not lose any of that penetration over distance. So it has those two things going for it, but like I said, heat is a very situational round. It's quite unreliable at times, especially depending on the tanks you're fighting. If you're fighting a Russian tank like an IS-7 that has a lot of spaced armor, if you shoot someone in the tracks, you're probably not going to damage them for anything. So heat is a round you have to be very careful at where you aim it and at what you aim it at. So it's but that E-100 certainly having the skill set to do so. Minnow just trying to stay alive here, having 3 kills and 4132 damage. So definitely being advantageous and a person that is one of the main reasons. I'm losing my own words here. Forgive me. Definitely a reason his team is not losing at this point. 12-12. When his team was losing, it was like 5-10, 5-9, something like that earlier on. Certainly a massive tank difference, but the hit points favoring Minnow's team, the tank difference now favoring Minnow's team, and all that remains are 2 tank destroyers. However, that ISU, we should always assume an ISU is using a BL-10. That is usually what they are running, and it is pretty much the same gun that's on the 704 and almost the same gun that's on the 268. So it is a tier 10 gun. It's something that should be taken very seriously. This Waffenträger E100 definitely should be taken very seriously, considering Minnow is near death. He has no armor to speak of, no armor to deflect those shots. That Waffenträger E100 coming across the ally 183, not his best day. 183, please one-shot him. The LTB just upset. I mean, he feels like his team is throwing this away, and honestly, he's probably right about that. That enemy Waffenträger, we knew he was going to be at full health because, let's face it, Waffenträger average health, full health, 2,000 hit points. ISU 152, full health, 1010 hit points. The enemy team, 310 hit points. So, if you know what vehicle hit point values normally are, you can usually gauge what they are at. But also, if you're using this mod pack, it tells you exactly what the enemy team has in hit points left. Although, as you can tell, the mod pack says the T-44 is still alive, which is not the case. Mod pack's not always super reliable, but wow, that 183 and that Waffenträger E100, very near death, and so is Minnow. The total hit point pool of his team right now, 213, and it's a full health Waffenträger. This Waffenträger is more than capable, if he had the skills, more than capable of winning this for his team. And right now, he might. Friendly Waffenträger getting a shot off for damage, but will he get one more? Yes, he will. Another one, maybe? It's hard to say. This enemy Waffenträger just not being able to take out his counterpart on Minnow's team. while Minnow actually goes around and goes for the flank. So very wise decision here by Minnow. Rather than trying to attack the front, deciding to go around and come across from his blind spot, using his medium tank's advantage in mobility and speed. And mobility and speed aren't quite the same thing. It's definitely they're similar but different. Waffenträger might actually get the kill here. Nope. So it is still anyone's match at this point. It is down to the wire, 327 hit points to 91 hit points, but that's of no consequence. They are both one-shots for each other. And the enemy Waffenträger, he's probably reloading at this point. The number of shells he's fired at this point, I would say it's a safe bet he's reloading, and his reload is long. Just as long as the bat chats, if not longer. I'm assuming it is longer because he has more damage in his clip. But Minnow here trying to come up behind him before he has another shell ready to go. And so far, the enemy Waffenträger doing a good job at trying to evade the bat chat. I don't know if he's trying to hide and evade, or certainly not trying to hide it. If he was trying to hide, he would not have hopped on that capture circle. Maybe he should have. If I was that enemy Waffenträger, I wouldn't have gotten on the cap until I was loaded and ready to take out any threats coming my way. But as you could tell, right here, enemy Waffenträger spotted and dead. Yes, there we go. Game, set, match. Minnow getting a total of 4 kills for himself, nearly 4,500 hit points of damage. And as you could tell, that LTTB on the enemy team, not too happy with his team's performance. He actually was rooting for his team to lose at the end, calling them a bunch of retards, saying, Batchat, please kill these guys, make them lose. So not exactly a team player, kind of a hater, honestly. And you'll run across that with some of the better skilled players in the game. They become really cynical and really hateful towards the not as experienced, lesser skilled players, but it's just part of the game. You can't let it get to you. So if you're a better skilled player, just try and bear with the lower skilled players and don't let them ruin your games. Don't let them get you in a bad mood. Don't be bad-mannered and putting them down. Just play the game, and if you have a bad match, if your team is just terrible and they lose it for you, just go back to garage, drop in the next match, and try not to take it so seriously. It's just a game. But I beat that dead horse long enough. Let's go to the post-game stats and see how Minnow did. Well, no actual awards per se. He got a lot of pins and ribbons. So fighter, fire for effect, duelist, hand of God, bruiser. Just overall, it's a very solid match. The number of tanks he damaged, the amount of damage he dealt, the amount of experience he earned, which was a ×2 for the first victory of the day. But still, overall mastery badge second class. That's kind of somewhat common. But looking at the stats, definitely almost the top damage dealer, the only other damage dealer being that Waffenträger, both even in kills, and the E100 getting 4 kills as well. So we know who the MVPs are of this team, and if only they had been in a platoon together, that would have been a, what's the name of the... Crucial Contribution, that's what I'm thinking of. Brothers in Arms and Crucial Contribution would have been awarded, but Minnow certainly earning the most experience for his team because of his overall performance, which I don't know how that's factored in here. No, only few enemy vehicles spotted, but no really defense points, I guess, factored into it and put him over the edge. I mean, that E100 had a little bit of damage upon detecting, and some damage blocked by armor, so it's really hard to gauge who was the actual MVP of this match. Certainly a few runners in that sort of competition. The enemy team overall, the T-57 Heavy, absolutely massive amounts of damage. The Jagdpanzer E100 just as well. And then the next runner-up, the Waffenträger and the ISU, actually doing very well for themselves. But the lowest performing players were the lowest tiers, except for the T-54. But I mean, still, that E-50M, however, just not really living up to his tier 10 tank ranking. But overall, a very solid match, still managing to earn himself some credits there near the end. He would have earned several more had he been running premium. But overall, a very solid match, and just going to show that just because you're about to die, falling back and regrouping, if you're about to die, get off the front lines. Keep your gun in the match for as long as you can. It doesn't matter if your tank is 1% health or 100% health, you're still a gun in the game, and the longer you stay alive and the more shots you get off, the better you are helping your team. And on that note, if you notice one of your teammates about to get taken out and you have enough hit points to absorb a shot or two for them, pull out in front of them, keep them alive as they fall back, and exercise a bit of teamwork. And I promise you, you will see more matches where your team wins, or at least gets closer to winning than they would have, because you are using something that's very rare in this game called teamwork. And if you just keep each other alive a bit longer and share hit points and focus fire down enemy tanks, focus fire is a bit hard in matchmaking, because unless you're in a platoon in TeamSpeak talking to people, you really aren't going to be doing it. But like in this match where he tried to hide behind his T-49 ally, and his T-49 ally, whether he was aware of it or not, is the only reason Minnow really survived. He had 91 hit points at the end there, and he was the only reason his team won at the very end. It was down to him and one other enemy tank. If he had not survived, if that T-49 had not blocked those shots, if he had not hit him behind it, and that T-54 would have gotten one more shot on him, when he rammed that Jagdpanzer E-100, Minnow would have died. It would have been game, set, match right there. So it's all about conserving hit points and staying alive when you are near death. Just this match is perfect proof of that. But I've rambled on long enough about a point I feel I've beaten to death. Just remember, if you like this video, click that like button. If you want to see more, subscribe. And if you've got a replay, check the description below for instructions on how to submit. And if you got suggestions or comments on how I can make my videos, channels, anything better about what I'm doing, just let me know in the comment section below, or just put random comments down there. That's always fun. But until next time, this has been Spang, and I am signing off.
MLG Dynamo!